What is up, my beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of This Feels Personal. I'm your host, Ashley I, serving you truth, side-eye, and unsolicited advice. And today's episode, it's giving isolation. We're talking about why sometimes being alone isn't a punishment. It's only a plot twist, baby. You know that feeling when everybody else seems to have their crew, their people, their family, their vibes, and you're just sitting alone in your apartment looking up at the ceiling like, cool. It's just me and my thoughts right now. And that's a dangerous place to be sometimes. But there's a reason, peeps. And we gonna get into it. So let's talk about it. So let me set the scene for you guys. When I graduated, decided to move to Virginia and, start life, as you may call it, I hated it. Yeah. I was alone. And I think that was like at the height of my depression and anxiety. And there was no close family around. I mean, I had an uncle. Hey, Uncle Freddie. But he was, I think it was like 2 hours away maybe. And most of my friends were in Maryland, I want to say. And that was like an hour away. So it was just me, my dog Santana, and my thoughts. And unfortunately, that is a messy combination. I remember this one day very clearly. So let's get personal and talk about it. It was warm. The sun was shining. Like, it wasn't gloomy. It wasn't depressing at all. A beautiful day. The weather outside was so bright, but my inside was like mad heavy. That day, I walked Tana like I normally do. I walked her around the apartment complex, and then we usually spent some time at the dog park because I had a beautiful apartment. It was quite bougie when I first moved there, and I would always take her to the dog park. Anytime it wasn't like bad weather, I would take her to the dog park, no matter how I felt. Like every other day, I walked her around the apartment complex and took her to the dog park. I just felt nothing. It was just flat. My thoughts were loud, but my feelings was numb. And every day I would sit on that bench in the dog park while she sniffed around, did her things. There were other dogs typically there, maybe one or two. Wasn't like a real busy dog park. It was only for the people that lived in the apartment complex. So it wasn't like it was a whole bunch of people there. But this one particular day, and I don't know why, I'll just say I feel like it was a whisper from God, I guess. I was sitting on the bench, like I said, letting Tana do her thing. And I just thought, this is it. This is my life now. Just being alone, feeling nothing. Is this really a life I want? Am I going to be able to survive this? At first, I was like, it is what it is. This is, I guess, what my life is. I'll just let that loud darkness win because I was tired. Tired of fighting, tired of trying to change my mindset, and tired of struggling to do so. So, after I was ready to just throw in the towel, something weird happened. It was like a flicker. Flicker of light in the darkness, I guess you could say. I noticed that, like I said, it was weird. But I noticed Santana, she was just walking around the dog park, sniffing, doing her own thing. I mean, there was other dogs out there, but she wasn't paying them no mind. She wasn't chasing nobody. She wasn't trying to get nobody's attention. She was very content, just walking around, sniffing, doing her own thing. She had absolutely no interest in no people, no other dogs, just her and whatever her thoughts were as she sniffed around the dog park, enjoying the sun and the wind just slightly like blowing through her fur. Like it was a whole moment. It was like a movie moment when I was watching her. You know, like when things go in slow motion. It was like one of those moments. That's when it hit me. She was just happy existing. She wasn't chasing anyone or anything. She just was. And in that moment of watching her, I realized maybe I could just be as well. Like just exist and enjoy my own company. After that, my walks were a little more intentional. Like, yeah, I would walk Tana. That was our routine, you know? But it was like becoming practice for me. Practice of becoming intentional with my actions. Practice just being outside. Practice just taking in the air, feeling the sun on my face. Practice being. Although taking Santana to the dog park was like our little ritual, watching her taught me one important thing, and that's enjoying your own company. Sunlight helped, just physically walking helped. I'm a huge advocate of using exercise to assist with mental health, come out of those dark cloud moments. But really, what changed the game was me showing up for myself every day. It didn't matter if I felt bored. It didn't matter if I felt lonely. Just feeling the warmth on my skin. Watching Tana explore in her own quiet way, I started feeling like the space around me wasn't so empty. It was a moment, guys. It was a moment. And I'm glad that I had it. At that dog park, I found a space where I could notice who I was, who I wanted to be, and how I wanted to live. And keyword, I wanted to live. I was making a decision in those moments that I wanted to live. Man, that's a word by itself. I wanted to live, y'all. Wow. Psalms 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." And I have to admit, that moment, like I said before, felt like a whisper. It was a whisper in all of that darkness, all of that noise, just the suffocating feeling of loneliness. That whisper was expansive. When everything in your life is loud, your thoughts, your fear of missing out, you almost forget that stillness exists. And that quiet is what can guide you if you let it in, if you let it be, and you become okay with being uncomfortable in that quietness. Being alone really forces you to sit with yourself in ways that you never thought that you would be ready for. And to be honest, you may not be ready for. And it's gonna hurt. Some of it most definitely is gonna hurt. Some days felt super heavy for me. But in all that quiet, I started noticing things. It was little truths that I hadn't noticed before about myself. Like, first thing I realized is that I didn't need everybody to show up for me as long as I was showing up for myself. It sounds simple, right? But on one of those walks, when it was just me and Santana, I'm like, dang, nobody's here and I'm fine. And I'm not talking about I don't want to be a burning fine. I was sincerely fine. It wasn't fake. It was a moment where I finally had the thought that, you know what, maybe, just maybe, I can rely on myself for a change. Then there's solitude. It's weird. It teaches clarity in the sneakiest of ways. The quiet mornings where my brain has stopped like paying so much attention to the noise. And in that quietness, I realized those little things like the anxieties, the small fears, the bad habits that, to be honest, I didn't really know existed. But being able to call them out and name it for what it was, I guess you can say, was freeing. I was starting to get to know myself better. It was like turning on the light in the bedroom and seeing all the stuff that you've kind of been stepping over. It was messy, but it's yours. And sometimes you got to see what you need to clean up before you can clean it. And I don't want y'all to get the wrong impression, because even to this day, even now, I still struggle a little bit. Some days are really hard. Some days I still feel the weight. But now when I look back, I can see that quiet growth happening underneath. And one day you just notice you're different, you're steadier, and you're here. That's the most important thing. You are here, living and breathing. That is one thing that no one else can give you. So now that I sit here and reflect, I can't help but think about how scary it was at times. Just being myself with my thoughts and all my insecurities. Very scary place to be, for me anyway. But I think that's why we often run from it, run from that stillness, run from that quietness, because we are afraid of what we will find with no distractions, no noise, no validation. But when you do so, you just notice the small things like birds just flying and chirping, just content with existing. And I realize maybe we're allowed to be a little like that ourselves. And it's not a one and done kind of lesson, y'all. Some days I still struggle. Some days I still feel lonely. But other days, I notice I can sit in my thoughts a little better. I can walk outside and feel the sun on my face and think to myself, I like this. Hell, I like me. And that is growth that you can feel in your soul, not just in your head. It's not just words at that point. You feel it. So if you're listening and thinking, I can't do this. I can't just do this alone. I can't be alone in my thoughts. Then maybe it's time to try one thing. Just try one thing for me. Try one thing for yourself. Let's say it that way. Let's try one thing for you. Just notice something small. It can be taking a walk and noticing the clouds. It can be spending time with your dog, like I did. It can be feeling the sun on your skin. Just be still and take in the moment. Oh no, watch a bird. Just sit there and watch a bird one day. Just being its best self. Just be. Because sometimes the biggest breakthroughs happen when no one is watching. So as I wrap this episode up, being alone doesn't have to be a punishment. It can be a space for noticing, for feeling, for uncovering who you really are when no one else is watching. Psalms 46:10 isn't just a verse. It's a reminder that even when we are alone, there's still a presence guiding us through the quiet. Maybe that solitude isn't something you need to survive. Maybe it's something you need to just experience fully. All right, peeps. That's today's episode. I hope you leave this episode feeling a little less alone. I hope you see yourself a little more. And maybe you're inspired to just enjoy your own company for once. If you like this episode, please share it. Share it in the group chat. Share it to someone that might need a reminder that isolation isn't the enemy. We are on a path to growth, my people. And if you have a story for me about you thriving solo, baby, drop me something in the DMs. Tag me in your story. I want to know about it. And you can find me on the socials at thisfeels_personal. Let me hear from you. I wanna know how y'all doing out there. But until next time, same energy, same time. Go drink some water. Go take a walk. Go let the sun hit your skin. Love you guys. Bye.